Hello, all my joyful creators. Welcome, welcome to Funday Monday, part 9 of the Longmire Blanket. My name is Cynthia, and I am here with Cynthia's Joyful Creations, and I am going to be your host today for this segment of the Longmire Blanket. I am so excited about this next section that we're going to add to our blanket. It will be fun, exciting, maybe a little challenging, but we're definitely going to get through it together, and we're going to add a little bit more excitement and fun to our blanket. Now, the first part is going to be easy peasy. So let's clear this off. Our blanket is just beautiful. It is turning out to be so gorgeous. But we're going to clear that out of the way for just a minute. And we are going to be working with several colors today, but what I'm going to do is introduce them as we need them. So right now we are going to not roll for rows because this pattern stitch is going to require a certain number of rows, and so we're not even going to worry about how many rows we're adding. I will tell you, we will be adding a good many rows to our blanket today, but we'll go through all of that together. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll for the color that we're going to add to our blanket first. So let's go ahead and give our dice a really good roll. And looks like we have 10. So the first color that we're going to be adding is whatever color we have chosen for number 10. And for me, that is going to be navy blue. So let me grab my navy blue. And this is the color that I'm going to be adding. Looks a little purple there, but I promise you it is navy blue, although it really does look purple. Oh, my lighting is a little bit crazy. Let's see if this helps. I think that helps a little bit more. Hopefully that appears navy blue to you, because that is what it is. All right, so let's grab our blanket. And what we're going to be doing with this color, and we are going to be working on the right side of the blanket. Right now mine is on the wrong side as I get ready to attach the color, but once I turn it to start working, I will be working on the right side of the blanket. So what we're going to do with this number 10 color is we're just going to kind of create more or less a little foundation type thing to this new stitch pattern that we're adding. I don't want to tell you just yet. I want it to be a little surprise to how and what it's going to be. But we're going to give a little bit of a foundation going into it, coming off of these triple crochets that we did the last time we were together. So let's go ahead and get our new color added, and I'm going to go right here in the top of this last triple crochet and join my color. And I'm going to chain one, and then we're going to turn our work. And as I have done in the past, I am going to weave my tails in as I go. The blanket's getting a little bit bigger, so I gotta kind of crunch it up here so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so here's my new working color, and we're gonna bring these colors around, these tails around, so we can weave them in as we go. All right, there we go. And I'm going to show you something. I used to, and this is kind of what's happening here. It looks like my blanket is a little uneven, and it really isn't, but I've come to learn something, and so I'm going to share it with you. I have found that when I leave one tail, you know, on this side of my work, and I'm bringing one tail on the back, that what it does as I work it is it kind of pulls it in. And you can't really see it until I start working the stitches, but you can already see right there how it's kind of pulling that white stitch in and causing it to disappear. And that's what's happening here, where it kind of creates a little bit of a divot. So I've come to learn that if you pull both of those tails, if you're weaving them, you know, working over them and weaving them in now, if you pull both of them to the back behind your working yarn like this, then what it does is it creates a nice straight edge, and it does not make it look like you've missed a stitch, which we'll be able to, you know, fix that when we put our border on, because we've not technically missed a stitch, but that's what it's doing. Weaving that tail in like that is creating that little bit of an indentation, and I don't want that. So that was just something that I had picked up on, so I'm going to share with you. So we've chained one, and we're going to go right into that same stitch where I've attached my color. There we go. Get that nice and correct there. Okay. So we're going to go right into that same stitch as the chain one, and we're going to work a single crochet. And you guessed it, we're going to work single crochets all the way across this row. And we're actually going to go ahead and do that for the next 2 rows. So let me see. We are actually, let me grab my notes. We are actually on, should be, if I remember correctly, I want to say row 49 is where we're starting. And let me get my notes flipped over here. And yes, we're on row 49. So for row 49 and 50, using our number 10 color, we are just going to work single crochets across the row. And I know you're saying, Cynthia, you said that we were going to add a different stitch pattern today, and we are. We again are just creating kind of a foundation over these triple crochets to kind of help bring it back in. But as you can already see a little bit, and you'll see it more once we get our 2 rows done, but it's kind of bringing it back in to go into a different pattern so that it leaves these triple crochets as, again, adding some kind of depth and dimension to the blanket. So I'm going to do a couple more single crochets here over my tails, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim those. And of course, we always want to give them a slight little snug pull. And then trim them. And then we're just going to continue making those single crochets all the way across, again, this row. When we get to the end, we'll chain 1, we'll turn it, and we'll work 1 more row of single crochets. And then if you want, you can go ahead and fasten off your color, because we are going to bring in 2 more colors after we fasten this color off, and we'll be working them together. And again, I'll show you what I mean by that after we get these foundation rows for this pattern established. So I will meet up with you then at the end of row 50, and we'll get started with our fun and exciting pattern for the day. All right. Oh, this is so pretty. All right, so here we are at the end of row 50. We have established a little bit of a foundation here to go into this next stitch pattern. I have already fastened my navy blue off. So let's see what color we are going to add, and I am so excited, but we have to bring in two colors that we're going to work together as we create this pattern. Do not let it intimidate you. Do not let it frighten you, scare you. I promise you, I'm going to go slow. I'm going to walk you through it step by step, and we are successfully going to accomplish this together. But before that fun can begin, we have to choose our colors. And for our foundation row that we just made with the 2 rows of single crochets, we rolled 2 die. This time, we're going to only roll 1 die, so hopefully these smaller colors can have a chance to jump into our pattern. So here we go. Let's see what we get. And we rolled a 2. So I'm going to be bringing in the color Minty. And that is this color right here. So now we have to roll for 1 more color. And again, we're only going to roll 1 die. And I rolled a 2 again. So obviously I don't want them to be the same color, so I have to roll again. And the new color is 1. And that is beige buff. So for me, these are the next 2 colors that I am going to be bringing in for this part of the pattern. All right, so you need to establish which one's going to be color 1 and which one's going to be color 2. Since I rolled number 2 first, that should be your color 1, and rolled number 1 second, that should be your number 2, which might make it a little bit confusing because this is 2 and this is 1 in the color chart. But for the pattern, because of the way we rolled them, and realistically, it's not going to matter. If it's less confusing for you because these are colors 1 and 2, you can switch them if you want and let this be color 1 for today and color 2 for today. It is really not going to make a difference, and you'll see as we create this pattern, because you are going to use both colors equally. So however many stitches you make with this one, you're going to be making with this one. So it really doesn't matter. So actually, to not confuse anybody, that's what we're going to just go ahead and do. Well, let the fun begin. So we're going to start with color number 1. So let me grab the project. And I'm going to move everything else out of the way. So we've got plenty of room on our workspace here. And we're going to go ahead and attach our new color, which is color number 1. And I'm just getting my color attached to the project. I apologize, it's taken just a minute. There we go. And once you have your new color attached, you can go ahead and turn your work over. We are going to chain 2, so make sure that you have a chain 2 going on. And just to make sure that you are on the same page as me, as we create these next stitches, we are going to have our project right side up, face side up, however you use that terminology. And just as I have with all the other rows and color changes, I'm going to be working my colors in. So I'm pulling them to the back, excuse me. Whoops, I only had chained one there, and you need to have a chain 2 to start. And so this chain 2 is going to count as your first stitch, and it's going to be a half double crochet. So as we go into the next stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet into it. And we're going to do that 2 more times. Now, when you go to do the last half double crochet, you're not going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. We are going to bring in our next color. All right, so we're going to bring our second color in, and sorry, I wanted to pull that back down. I'm tightening the loops that I currently already have on my hook with color number 1. So I'm going to end up teaching you something that I have recently learned, and when working with 2 colors, it's very easy for them to get twisted up. So I have learned a new way of keeping those 2 colors from twisting as we work, and I'm going to teach you as we go. So with that being said, I have my 3 loops on my hook that would have completed the 4th half double crochet, but since I'm going to join my new color, I still have the 3 loops on the hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that color number 1 to the front so that it's laying down on my work along with my tails that I'm weaving in, my end tails that I'm weaving in. So all 3 of those strands are laying vertical on my work. I'm going to bring in my new color, and just like I changed colors at the end, I have a slip knot, and I'm going to slip that onto my hook. I'm then going to pull that through all 3 of those loops. So now I have color number 2, which is my mint. And so for this tutorial, I'm just going to call it green and brown, okay? Even though, or green and beige, let's do that. So that will help you keep up with 1 and 2. So we'll just refer to color 1 as beige and color 2 as green. All right. So I now have 1 loop of the green on my hook, okay? Now I'm going to pull all of my end tails and my working brown yarn, beige yarn, so that it's now laying perpendicular vertically across the top of my work. And I'm going to work over those. And it's a lot of tails to work over, but we're only going to do a couple stitches, and then our end tails will be done and out the way. So we'll be able to trim those off. And then we'll just be working with the 2 colors we're working with. So I know it sounds complicated. I promise you it's not. I am going to walk you through every single step and go slowly so that you can get this. So now we have the 1 loop on our hook that's in green, and we're going to create a half double crochet using the green. And so we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on the hook for that half double crochet. We're going to stop because we're going to change color again. All right. I promise it won't be changing colors so often like this, just for this row to get started. We're going to take that green working yarn, and again, we're going to pull it to the back. We're then going to find our beige working yarn, and we're going to pull it through to complete that green half double crochet. So now we've changed our color. We have no visible color change or seam there, and we have our 1 green half double crochet. Now we're going to pull that brown beige yarn all the way to the front, vertically down our work like this. Excuse me. Yes, vertically down our work like this. And I think before I called this vertical. It's horizontal, perpendicular across. All right. We're now going to pull our green yarn, and we're going to lay it vertically across the top of our work with our end tails, because we're going to work over the top of that so we don't have to cut off every time we do a color change and end up with all these tails to weave in. We're now going to pick up our beige yarn, and we're going to work a total of 8 half double crochets. So here we go, and we're working around all those yarns, those strands. So here's our first one. We're going to insert our hook into the next one and work our second half double crochet. We're going to work another one. That's 3. And of course, you got to work around all those yarns. As soon as we get enough done that we can have those tails secured in, we'll cut those off and they'll all be out of the way, and it will be completely down to just 2 strands. That's 3. And again, trying to work into that stitch and around those yarns. That's 4, those strands, that's 4. And on this 5th one, we should have all of our end tails worked in enough that we can stop a minute. All right, so let's just give them all individually a nice little tug so that we make sure that they're not peeking out anywhere. And then let's just go ahead and let's cut those 3 end tails that we have from the color from the last time we were together, and then the end tails we have from each of the 2 new colors that we've just added. And so we've cut all 3 of those. So now the only strands you have are the 2 colors that you're working with. And this is going to make it so much easier. Okay? All right. And I'm just making sure, sorry. I thought my strands had gotten twisted and they hadn't, but when I did that, I did twist them up. So I apologize for that. All right. So now we've created 5 in this beige color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to do 3 more to make 8. And again, you're working over the top of your green yarn. So let's do the next one. And that will give us 6. 1 more makes 7. And 1 more makes 8. All right. We actually need a total of 9 of those, but we're only going to do it halfway. So go ahead and yarn over for the 9th one. Stick it into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook. Now we're going to switch colors. But before we do that, we're always going to pull the beige yarn to the front like this. And when we're switching colors, we'll always pull the green yarn to the back. And that's going to help keep our colors from getting tangled up. All right, so we've got our beige yarn pulled to the front, laying vertical across the front of our work. We're now going to pick up our green yarn, and we're going to complete that last half double crochet in the beige. And so now count. We should have 9 of the beige. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we do. So far we have 4 beige, 1 green, and 9 beiges. All right. Now we need to bring our beige yarn, and we're going to lay it across the top of our work. And we're now going to make 1 green half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to stop. We're going to pull that yarn to the back or vertically up off of our work. And we're now going to pick up the beige yarn and we're going to pull it through and complete that half double crochet. So now we have 4 beige, 1 green, 9 beige, and 1 green. Okay? All right. Now we're going to bring our green yarn and lay it back down across our work. We're going to pick up our beige yarn and we're now going to make 8 half double crochets again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, 7, and 8. So we have completed a total of 8 half double crochets in the beige color. Now we need a total of 9. So we're going to make the start of the 9th one, but after we pull up the loop and we have the 3 loops on our hook, we're then going to take our beige yarn and we're going to pull it to the front, okay, whoops, and we're going to pull it vertically down from our work like this, and then we're going to pick up the green and we're going to complete that half double crochet. If you need to tighten that beige color down, you can give that beige a little bit of a tug to do so. So now we have 4 beige, 1 green, 9 beige, 1 green, 9 beige. And now we're going to bring our beige yarn and we're going to lay it back across the top of our work. We're going to pick up that green yarn and we're going to make a half double crochet in the next stitch, but after we pull up the yarn and we only have 3 loops on our hook, we're going to take that green yarn and we're going to pull it to the back vertically off of the work going upwards. We're going to pick up our brown yarn, our beige yarn, and we're going to pull it through and complete that half double crochet. Okay? Then we're going to bring the green yarn back down to the top of our work and lay it across perpendicularly so that we can work over it and carry it with us. And we're now going to do 8 full half double crochets, and in the 9th one we'll do it halfway and pick up our green yarn. So let's do it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 full half double crochets. And then on this 9th one, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and we have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to then pull our beige yarn down the front of our work. I keep saying vertically, but I mean horizontally when it's laying across the top of the work. I apologize for that. We're going to lay our beige yarn down across the project vertically so it's out the way. We're going to pick up our green yarn and we're going to pull it through all 3 loops and complete that 9th beige half double crochet. Then we're going to bring our beige yarn and we're going to lay it horizontally across our work. And now let me slide down a little bit so that as we're working, I'm staying on camera because you don't need to see what we've already done. All right. And we're going to now pick up that green yarn and we're going to create a half double crochet. But again, after we complete that yarn over and pull up a loop and have 3 loops on the hook, we're going to take that green yarn and we're going to pull it and lay it vertically away from our project. We're going to pick up that beige yarn and complete that half double crochet. So what we're actually doing right now is we are creating with the beige color 9 half double crochets and with the green color 1 half double crochet before we change out our colors. So it's 9 and 1, 9 and 1. So let's do this together one more time and then I'm going to leave you to finish all the way to the end. All right, so we now have 1 loop on our hook. It is the beige color. So we're going to bring this green yarn back down across the top of the work horizontally so that we can work over it. We're going to pick up the beige yarn, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch and around that green yarn, and we're going to pull up a loop and we're going to complete that half double crochet. We're going to do that a total of 8 times, completing the entire half double crochet, and on the 9th time we will stop after we have yarned over and pulled up a loop and have 3 loops on the hook. So now this is 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And after I finish that 8th one, I always like to pull like my green yarn or the opposite color, so I make sure that it's nice and secure on the back so that it's not peeking through. But I am going to show you something real quick. See how when it is turned over, you can see your nice green stitches right here. But see in that beige color just a little bit, you can kind of see that green peeking through. Well, when we work the next row, I'm going to show you a trick that will help make that disappear as well. You might still see it occasionally, but you won't see it definitive like you do right here through those colors. So that's another trick I'll show you on the next row, but we have to finish this row before we can kind of do that little trick. All right, so we have 8 half double crochets in our beige, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to go to do that 9th one, and again we're only going to do half of it so we can pick up our green color again. So yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook. This again is our beige color, so we're going to pull it to the front of our work and down across our work vertically, and then we're going to pick up that green yarn and complete that last half double crochet. You can tighten down anything you need to tighten down. So now we're going to pull this beige yarn back across our work horizontally so we can work over it. Pick up your green yarn, yarn over, and insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook. This is our green yarn, so we're going to turn it and pull it upward vertically away from the project. Pick up that beige yarn, yarn over, and pull it through to complete that green half double crochet. All right, I'm gonna do one more with you. So we'll pull this green yarn and we're gonna lay it horizontally across the work. We're gonna pick up our brown and we're gonna work our full 8 half double crochets, and then in the 9th one we'll pick up the green yarn. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, and of course we're making these with our beige color. 4, or whatever your number 1 color is. 5, 6, 7, and 8 makes our full 8 half double crochets. And right here on number 9, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and when I have those 3 loops on the hook, again, I'm going to take my beige yarn and pull it to the front to help keep my yarns from tangling up. And then I'm going to pick up that green yarn and I'm going to complete that last and 9th beige half double crochet. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to lay that beige color horizontally across the top of my work. I'm going to pick that green up again, and in the next one I'm going to start to make my half double crochet. And green, when I have 3 loops on the hook, I'm going to pull that green yarn upwards vertically away from the project, pick up my beige, and I'm going to complete that green half double crochet. And so this is what I have. So you're going to continue creating your 9 half double crochets in color number 1, whatever your color number 1 is. Mine happens to be beige. On that 9th one, after you yarn over and pull up a loop and have 3 loops on the hook, you're going to then pick up your green or your number 2 color, and you're going to complete that 9th half double crochet in color 1, and then you're going to start to make a half double crochet with color 2 with your color 2. But when you also yarn over and pull up a loop and have 3 loops on the hook, you're then going to complete it with your color number 1. So go ahead and continue repeating this all the way down the end of the row, doing your 9 half double crochets in color 1 and your 1 half double crochet in color 2, all the way down to the last remaining 3 stitches, and I will meet you there and I will help you figure out how to finish row 51. All right, so we're at the end of row 51 here. We have 3 stitches remaining, 1, 2, 3. As you'll notice with this last green half double crochet, I've not completed it. I just have the 3 loops on my hook. And so I'm going to pull that green yarn to the back like we have been, so we can keep our yarn from tangling. I'm going to pull a beige loop through all 3 of those loops to complete that green half double crochet, just like we've been doing all the way down this row. I'm now going to pull that green yarn back horizontally across the top of the project, and in these last 3 stitches we are going to work a total of 3 half double crochets using the beige color. We will completely complete all 3 of those half double crochets. Whoops. And make sure I get into that stitch with both strands on top of it. There we go. And once I complete that 3rd half double crochet, I am going to actually bring my green yarn to the back here, and go ahead and pull it horizontally across my project, pulling it to the right so it's out of the way. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now I'm going to grab both my working strands and I'm going to turn my project over to begin row 52. And while we're doing this, I just want to kind of clarify part of the reason that I'm not showing you how this pattern stitch is going to turn out is because, one, I do want it to be a surprise, but two, I'm doing it because I'm afraid that if you saw what it was, that you might predetermine that it looked hard and not want to give it a try. So I'm hoping that by breaking it down the way I am and telling you how to do it step by step, that you'll look at each of the individual steps and not the final project, and that way you'll look at the process and feel like I can do this. Okay, so I hope you're enjoying it. All right, so we're here at, and when we turn this over, that was my bad. I should have pulled my yarns going each one direction so they didn't get tangled up. So let me just go ahead and untangle that real quick because they have remained untangled with the procedure that I had been showing you. All right, so now, get my hook. Now we've got it the right way. All right, so we have the green pulled across horizontally the top of our work so we can work over it, because these first couple stitches we're going to make are going to be in the beige color. Okay, all right, so we have our chain 2, and as you can see, remember the loop on the hook does not count as a chain. So then we have 1, 2, and they come into the base of this stitch right here. So that is this one. So this counts as our first half double crochet. Let me get my hook back on here. So as we go forward, we're going to do what's called wide half double crochets. And so normally when we go into a stitch, you know, we always go in where we have these little V's on the top here. So we normally go in underneath those top 2 that form the V, and then that leaves this third one on the bottom. With a wide half double crochet, you're going to go up under all 3. So we're going to yarn over, and so this first one's taken care of. So to go and do a stitch for this second one right here, right there, after we've yarned over, we're going to come up under not the 2, not the 1, but we're going to go into it here and pull up our loop and yarn over and pull through. And now that creates our 1 and our 2. All right. And we're going to do one more for our third one. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to come right in here below the 2 strands and the 1 strand and go right in here and create our half double crochet. So that will give us 3. But before we finish it off, we're going to bring that beige yarn forward down the work vertically, and we're going to pick up the green yarn and we're going to pull it through to complete that third wide half double crochet like that. All right, now we're going to pull the beige yarn back across the work horizontally. We're going to pick up that green yarn, and now we are going to go into the very next one. We just did that one, so now we're going to go into this, which is going to be right in front of that green stitch. and we're going to go in and we're going to pull up our loop, and we're actually going to complete this one. So that gives us 1. Let me move my hands out the way so you can see. So now we have 3 of the beige and 1 of the green. We're going to create another green one. So we're going to yarn over, and now we're going to go past the green one into that stitch. And this is where I was going to show you before how to pick up the colors from the previous row so they're not showing through. So when you go into the stitch around the top 2 and the bottom one, you're going to make sure you're going underneath that entire strand so you're pushing everything up to the top. And then you're going to yarn over and pull up your loop. And this time, see how that pulled that up? So there's nothing showing through in that space. All you see is that green stitch. Can you see that? So now before we complete this second green one, we're going to pull our yarn to the back vertically away from the project. We're going to pick up the beige and we're going to complete that second half double crochet. And I'm just tightening everything down. And so now we have 2 green half double crochets there. We're going to bring our green back across our work horizontally. And by alternating these the way we have been, we're actually keeping our yarn from tangling, which is so nice and makes it so much easier. And so I can do this both on the table and in my lap. You do it how you feel comfortable. So now, before we were doing 9 half double crochets in that color 1, but because we just made a second one in the space that our first beige was done in on the last row, this time when we go across, we're only going to have 8 beige half double crochets. And so let's work these together. Yarn over, and the same concept, you're going up underneath all the strands. You're going up underneath the 2 at the top here, right there. You're going up under the 3rd one right there. But if you notice right in there, you see that green from before? We're going to go up under it too. So there's our 3, there's our green. We're going to slide that hook all the way up underneath that green one, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then I'm going to show you, even though I have the 3 loops on my hook and I haven't completed that half double crochet, if you look in that space right there, you can see my nail and my finger peeking through. There's no green stitch there. But if I look in the next one, see how I can see that green stitch, but I don't there. All right, then we're going to just complete that half double crochet. That's 1. So since we're only doing 8 this time, we'll do 7 complete ones. So let's do the second one. Yarn over. I'm skipping the top 2 strands here. I'm skipping this 3rd strand. There's my green one there. So I'm going to go up underneath that green one. Grab up a loop. I have 3 loops on the hook, and I'm going to complete that wide half double crochet. And see how nice and clean that is? You don't even see that green color at all that we carried along the beige. So let's do the next one. This is 3. We're skipping the top 2 strands here that form our V right there. We're skipping the 3rd one that would normally be on the bottom. We're going to find that green strand right there, and we're going to go right up underneath it and complete our 3rd half double crochet. All right, let's do the 4th one. Again, we're going to skip these 2 strands that form the V right there. We're going to skip the third one that creates the bottom of that normal stitch. There's our green. So we're going to go up underneath it. Making sure you're carrying the green along as you go this time, just like you have been. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You can see how nice and clean that is. Yarn over and complete the half double crochet. And then that now gives us 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's do 3 more just like that. Yarn over, skip the top 2, skip the third one, go find that green and go up under it. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. And as I go, I continue to pull my green yarn along so that I know that it's not peeking through the back. But with what I'm showing you, the technique I'm showing you, even though we can see it in the back right now, that green through the beige, with the process that I'm showing you, that's going to disappear just like it is right here. And as you can see, let me pull this out a minute. You cannot see that green anywhere in those stitches until you get to the next one where I haven't done it. And then that one, you see it. So until we get to the ones that we haven't done, you're going to still see them. So I hope you can see that difference. Like right there, I can clearly see it peeking through. All right, so let's pick it back up. Let's count how many we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to do 2 more complete ones. So yarn over, skip the top 2, skip that bottom one, find the green strand, go up underneath it, and complete your half double crochet. That's 6, and in the next one, that is 7. Now, we need to have a total of 8. So we're going to yarn over, and just like we have been, skip those 3, find the green, go up underneath it, and this time when we pull up a loop, we're going to bring that beige yarn across our project and down it vertically, and then we're going to pull this green yarn and give it a nice little tug so we can make sure that it's coming through and staying nice and snug. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that ends our 8 beige half double crochets. All right, now we're going to pull our beige back across the top of our work horizontally, pick up the green, yarn over, and so here we are. We're going to do a green stitch on this side of the post and on this side of the post to create 2. So let's go into the first one, which will be our next stitch, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to skip the top 2, we're going to skip the third one, we're going to go down in here, and we're going to find that green stitch from that particular one. We're going to go up underneath it, pull up our loop, and complete our half double crochet. We're going to yarn over, we're going to skip the top 2, skip the third one. This time we're looking for the beige, and we're going to go right into it, underneath it, and pull up a loop, but we're ready to change colors. So we're going to pull this green to the back of our project and pull it up vertically away from it. We're then going to pick up our beige and we're going to pull it through. All right, pull everything nice and snug. All right, bring your green back down across the top of your work so we can carry it along. And we're going to start with the beige, color 1. All right, we're going to go into the next stitch. There's our 2, there's our third one, and you can see our green peeking through right there. So we're going to go right up underneath that green, so we can hide it. And we're going to yarn over and pull up a stitch, and I didn't catch the green. I actually split it and went through the middle of it, so let's catch it all. There we go. And we're going to complete that half double crochet. And there again, you have a clean stitch. See how you can see that green poking out there, but you can't there? It makes it a nice clean stitch. All right, we need to do 7 of those as complete half double crochets. So let's do that together. So this will be number 2, again skipping the top 2, which create the V there. The third one, find that green strand and go up underneath it, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. And let's do it again. This will be number 3, skipping those top 2 strands, skipping that third bottom strand, finding that green strand, going right up underneath that green strand, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. That now gives us 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it 4 more times. So this is 4 and 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do it 1 more time. This makes 7. And then I always like to pull that green yarn to make sure that it's all nice and snug underneath here. And it is. And then we're going to make our 8th one, but we're only going to complete half of it. So go up underneath that green strand, yarn over, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on the hook. So we're going to take our green strand and we're going to pull it to the back of our work, up towards the top, away from it vertically. And I apologize. We're going to pull our beige strand down our work vertically, and now we're going to pick up the green and finish that half double crochet. I apologize for that. Now we'll pull the beige back across the top of our work horizontally, just like that. And now we're going to create our 2 greens on either side here. See how this is where we put that last stitch? So now we're going to put a green one here and a green one here. And that'll give us 2. So let's yarn over, just like we've been doing with the beige. All right, we're going to skip these 2 loops here. We're going to skip that third one. See how that green is peeking through there? We're going to go right up underneath it and yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That creates our first one. Then we're going to yarn over. We're going to skip the top 2. We're going to skip the third one. See that beige one now? We're going to go right up underneath it, yarn over, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on the hook. So now we're going to pull that green yarn towards the back of our work, pulling it up and away from the project vertically. And now we're going to pick up the beige and we're going to pull it through all 3 loops and tighten everything down to create that second half double crochet. And this is what it should look like. So let's go ahead and work another one together. Let me slide this down because I definitely don't want to be off camera. All right. So we've got our green laying horizontally across the top of our work so we can work over it and carry it along. We're going to yarn over with the beige and we're going to come right into this next one. Again, we're skipping those top 2 that create the V, the third one. We're finding that green and we're going right down underneath that green strand, and that's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go up under that green there. Still don't think I got it. Nope, I didn't. There we go. 6 and 7. And then in this 8th one, remember we're only going to do half of it. Wait a minute, I missed something. Right there, I missed a stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we come up under this one, makes 6. And 7. And this will be 8. And remember on this one, after we pull up a loop and have 3 loops on the hook, we're finished with color number 1. So we're going to bring that beige and we're going to pull it down across the work vertically so it's out of the way, and we're going to pick up the green and we're going to finish that 8th stitch. And then pull everything nice and snug there. And now we're ready to start with the green, so we're going to lay our beige across the top of our work horizontally, pick up our green, and we're going to go right here in front of the green stitch from the last one, right up underneath the 2 strands there, and then find that bottom one. And you can see right there is the beige stitch, or beige yarn. See that right there? You can just barely see it peeking in right there. So go right up underneath that beige. It looks like I'm going to have to do some wiggling. But make sure you're staying in that row and not going into the row below. And then pull up your stitch and complete, or your loop, and complete your half double crochet. All right. And then we're going to go into the next one on the other side of this green stitch. And there's my 2 top loops that create my V. There's my 3rd one. That would have been my bottom part of the stitch. And right in here, you see that beige right there. So we're going to go right up underneath it and pull up a loop. Have 3 loops on the hook, but we're ready to switch our color. So we're going to take our green and we're going to pull it to the top away from our work vertically. And we're going to pick up our beige and we're going to pull it through. And then just secure everything down. Give it a little snug. Pull your green yarn across your work horizontally. And now we're going to work the next 8. I'll do one more set with you. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to again skip these top 2 that create the V right there. We're going to skip this 3rd one that creates the bottom part of the stitch. We're going to find that green strand right there. And we're going to go right up underneath that green strand. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And that completes our first half double crochet for this little set. And we're going to do it again. And that's 2. And 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. And on this one, after we pull up our loop and we still have 3 loops on the hook, we're going to put our work down. We're going to take that beige yarn and we're going to pull it down across our work vertically. And then we're going to come pick up our green yarn and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops of the beige. Then secure everything down. Bring your beige yarn back across your work horizontally. Pick up your green, yarn over. We're going to go right here into this first stitch here. We're going to skip these 2, skip this 3, and go right in there and create our first green. Yarn over, and here's our actual green stitch. So we're going to skip the top 2, skip the 3rd one, find that beige strand, go right underneath it. Trying to make sure I have my beige there. Okay. Pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on the hook. Put our work down. Pull that green yarn up and away from the project vertically. Pick up your beige yarn or your number 1. Pull it through and secure everything down. And then bring your green back. And then you're going to continue working all the way down, doing your 8 half double crochets with color 1, doing 2 half double crochets with your color 2, and just continue that all the way down until you get to this last green that you have, or whatever your color 2 is. And after you've made 1 on either side, so you have 2 in that color, stop and I'll join back up with you to finish and complete this row. And no matter what row we do today, we will always still end up with 158 half double crochets on every row that we've added, including these 2 rows that we added at the beginning of half double crochets throughout this whole entire pattern, and the last 2 rows that we're going to put in after we complete this pattern. And real quick, let me just tell you, we will end up today actually doing a total of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 rows is what we're going to end up creating for this week. So we will be adding 13 rows to our blanket this week. And right now we are currently on row 52. And we are working with the back side of our work facing us, just so we make sure everybody's on the same page. So, all right, so I will meet up with you at the end of this row where we have these last 3 stitches remaining. Well, will it be 3? It'll be 1, 2, and 3. Yes, where we have 3 stitches remaining after we've completed the last of the second green. All right, so we have created half of the second green half double crochet at the end here, where I asked you to meet back up with me. And so we're going to take that green yarn and we're going to pull it away from the work and take it upwards vertically away from the project. We're going to pick up our beige and we're going to pull it through those 3 loops that completed that second green half double crochet. We can then leave this green half double crochet to the back here. We do not have to carry it because we will come back to it when we need to pick it up. So we're just going to take our beige and we're going to do as we have been, go right into the next stitch and create a half double crochet, and we're going to do that 2 more times, just like that. And then we're going to do it right here into this one, and that completes that row. And look how nice and clean that edge is. Whoops. Look how nice and clean that edge is. All right, chain 2, 1, 2, and let's turn our work over. And just so we're on the same page, as we're working these stitches along row 53, I believe, 49, 50, 51, 52, yes, 53, we will have the front side or the right side facing. All right. Again, we want to keep this green pulled all the way up to the top vertically, away from the project. So we've created this chain 2. That's going to count as our first half double crochet. We're now going to yarn over, and like we have been before, okay, that creates that first one. So now we're going to come in, and that fills in this spot right here. See? So we're going to come in and create the second one, and it's going to go right here in this first big opening. All right? And again, you're going under all 3 strands to do what's called a wide half double crochet. There's 2. And now here is 3. We're not going to complete it. We're now going to pull our yarn all the way down our work vertically across our project, and we're going to come pick up the green, and we're going to use it to slide right through here to complete that stitch. Now you want to now bring your beige yarn and put it across your work horizontally so that you're able to carry it along. But I need to show you something. When you go to do your stitch, if you notice this green yarn where we joined it is kind of going over across our stitch. So let me just kind of walk you through this one here. So as you see on the top here, we have our V. There's our 2 little stitches that we would normally go up under. See that? There's your V. All right, now let's look for that third part of the stitch. If this little green strand was not in the way, you could see it, but that's it right here. And I apologize if y'all can hear that train in the background. So going into the stitch, we would go in right here. What is really important is that you make sure when you go into that stitch that you are indeed going up where you're going under that strand. So you're going like through both. So when you pull up your loop, you've gathered that green strand in it. Let me show you what happens if you don't, if you go above it. So if you go above it and into that stitch and you pull up your loop, this is what happens. And it still kind of blends in and looks like part of the stitch. But let me show you again what it looks like if we actually go under it like we have been with all the other stitches. Now see how that just creates a more even symmetrical line? Like you can't even tell that's where you picked the color up. It looks so natural. All right, so let's continue on with the next one. And again, we're going to go up under these 2 that create the V, the third one, and up under the beige. And we're going to make that second green half double crochet. And now we're going to do the third, and again we're going to go up under the 2 that create the V right here, the third one, and the beige. And now we're not going to complete that third one with the green. So now we're going to take the green and we're going to pull it up vertically so that our yarns are not crossing over and getting tangled. And then we're going to give that beige a little bit of a pull, and we're going to yarn over and pull it through to complete the third green half double crochet. And then I just kind of tighten everything down. So it's kind of creating this little arrowhead effect, but we're not creating arrowheads. I will show you what we're doing. In just a minute, you'll start catching on probably to what we're doing, what we're actually creating. All right, so now we're going to pull this green down across our work horizontally to work over it. And let's just talk about this. If on this first row we created 9 half double crochets in the beige color, and then the next row we created 8 half double crochets, what are we going to do on this row? I guess that was my Jeopardy little tune. That's right. We are going to create 7 half double crochets in the beige. So here we go. Skipping the top 2, skipping the third, finding that green yarn, going up underneath it. We're going to create 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and on this 7th one, we're just going to pull up a loop, and then we're going to give everything a nice snug little pull to make sure it's all pulled in tight like it's supposed to be. And then we're going to bring our beige yarn down across our work vertically. And let me get some more yarn pulled out here on both my skeins. All right, so we're going to pull that beige one down across the work vertically, and we're going to pick up our green, and we're going to complete that last beige half double crochet, and that gives us 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to pull the beige up across the work horizontally, and we're going to create our 3 green. And we're going to go right here into this first one, and we're going to make 1, and we're going to go right here, skipping the top 2, the third one, and underneath that beige, just like we did with the last one, and that's 2, and we're going to do 3. And in this one, let me grab that beige, we are not going to complete the stitch. We're going to take that green yarn and we're going to pull it upward away from the project vertically. And then we're going to pick up our tan and yarn over and pull through all 3, pull everything nice and snug. And there's our 3 green. I'm going to do only one more with you on this round. We're going to bring our green back down across the work horizontally. We're going to pick up our beige and we're going to do the next 7 in our beige. And again, we're coming under the 2, under the 3, finding that green yarn right there, going underneath it. And that's 1. And going under that green yarn, that's 2. And 3. And 4. And 5. And 6. And then 7. And on this one, after we pull up a loop, and we have 3 loops on the hook, we're going to stop, because that's going to complete that little segment. We're ready to switch colors. So we're going to now bring our beige yarn. I need to grab a little bit more out of the skein. All right, we're going to bring our beige yarn and we're going to pull it down vertically across our work. We're going to pick up our green and we're going to yarn over and pull it through to complete that last beige stitch. Then pull everything nice and tight, or snug. I shouldn't say tight, snug. Then we're going to bring our beige yarn and put it back across the top of our work horizontally. Pick up our green and we're going to go right in here and we're going to create our first one. And we're going to create our second green one. And then our third one going up under that beige yarn. And when we pull up that loop and have 3 loops on the hook, we're going to stop, pull our green yarn vertically upward away from our work. And then we're going to pick up our beige yarn and we're going to pull it snug. We're going to pull our green snug. And then we're going to take that beige and pull it through those top of those 3 loops to complete our third green stitch. And we're going to continue all the way down this row, repeating that, doing 7, 3, 7, 3, 7, 3. So it'll start to look like this. All right, so continue doing 7, 3 all the way down. When you complete your last 3 green stitches, stop, and I will meet back up with you, and I will go over how to finish this row, and then how to start getting ready for rows 54. So we're at the end here on our last little green section. We've made our third green half double crochet, but we still have the 3 loops on the hook, and we need to close that off. So we're going to take our green yarn and pull it upward vertically, and we're going to give our beige yarn just a slight little pull to make sure everything is secured in here under the green stitches. And then we're going to yarn over and finish off that third green stitch. We do not need to carry our green yarn, so we'll just leave it pulled back there. And we're going to go ahead and work our last 2 beige stitches. So there's 1 and 2. And this is going to complete row 53. And to start row 54, we're going to chain 2. And we need to turn our work. And you should have the back side or the wrong side of your work facing you. And just to make sure that our yarns are not getting crossed up, the green needs to be pulled going up away from the work vertically. All right, so we have our chain 2 here above this first stitch. Our green yarn is going vertically upwards away from our project. We have our beige yarn here, and we are actually going to pull it down, and then we're going to kind of just slip stitch our green yarn into that beige yarn and give it kind of a little bit of a tug, because this next stitch has to be green. And so then we're going to bring our beige yarn back over our work horizontally, and we're going to pick up our green and we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go into this first stitch, and we're going to go under the 3 stitches that were created with the beige right here, the first 2, the third one. So we're going right in here where my finger is, but again we're going to pick up this green yarn. So we're going to yarn over there and we're going to go into there, and then we're going to pull up our loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3, and that gives us that first green stitch. All right, and so now we're going to yarn over, And we're going to go up under those 3 stitches, find that beige one, and we're going to complete our second green stitch. And as you've followed the pattern so far, we've done 1, 2, 3. So yes, we're going to be doing 4 green stitches. So find that beige, make the 3rd one, and then we're going to make the 4th one. But as always, we are not going to complete that one. Let me make sure I'm getting that beige stitch right there, or beige yarn, sorry. And when we pull up our loop and have 3 loops on the hook, we're going to pull our green yarn up vertically away from the project. We're going to give our beige yarn a little bit of a tug to make sure everything is snug in there, but not too tight like I just did to alter the shape. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook from the green. And that completes the last green stitch. And just kind of snug everything down. And then we're going to bring the green yarn back across the work horizontally to work over it. And as you know, with the beige, or your color number 1, we've done 9, we've done 8, we've done 7, so now we're going to do 6. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to insert our hook, and you want to make sure, whoops, that you're going under all 3. You find that green yarn and you're going to go in it, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on 6 here, we'll draw up our loop and we'll leave the 3 loops on the hook. We're going to bring our brown yarn and we're going to pull it down our work vertically. We're going to grab that green yarn and give it a little bit of a tug to pull it up underneath those brown stitches, nice and secure. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook, completing that last brown half double crochet. All right, now we're going to pick up the green and we're going to lay the brown across our work horizontally to work over, and we're going to make our first green stitch. And there's 1, 2, picking up that beige yarn, 3, and 4. And on this one, we're not going to complete it. We're going to lay it down, pull our green yarn upwards vertically, take the beige yarn and pull it through, snug under those stitches, and then grab it and pull it through all 3 loops to complete that last green stitch. So we're going to continue this pattern of 6, 4, 6, 4 all the way down till we get to the last green. And when you get to the last green, I will meet up with you there. So we are down to the last green stitch here. And we're going to pull that green up vertically away from the project. We're going to give our beige a little tug and then yarn over and pull through to complete that 4th stitch. And then we are going to leave our green yarn, actually pull to the back here, and then we're going to go right into these last 2 stitches up under all 3 and complete 2 half double crochets with the beige to finish off row 54. And so that's what it's looking like. Are you figuring it out? Are you figuring out what we're creating? Oh, I know it's a lot of work, but it is going to be so, so pretty. So excited. All right. Now it's time to start row 55. So with our beige, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. All right, we have our chain 2 here. It's going to count as our first half double crochet. So just to make sure our yarns aren't getting mixed up, we want our green going up vertically away from the project. And since we're going to change colors, we want our beige coming down across the work vertically towards us. We're then going to slip stitch this green into the top loop of the beige that was on the hook. It's going to look like this. All right. We want to make sure that we pull our beige across the top of our work horizontally. Then we're going to yarn over. Now, we want to find our stitch here with our 3 loops that we're going into. There's the stitch. And see this green one that we have here with the new color being added on? We want to make sure that we're going through that. So we're going through all of that, pulling up a loop and yarning over through all 3. And that's going to create our first green half double crochet for that row, and see how it's keeping it nice and clean. And of course, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're right. This one's going to have 5 green stitches. So we're going to yarn over. We want to go through our 3 and up under our beige. That makes 2, 3, and 4, and 5. I want to make sure we're going up under that beige. When we pull up the loop on the 5th one, that's where we're going to do our color change. So we're going to pull our green to the back, vertically going up, give the beige a nice little tug so that it's secure up underneath those green stitches, and then yarn over and pull it through all 3 loops of the green stitches to complete that 5th half double crochet. All right. And now we're going to bring this green back down across the work horizontally, and we're going to pick up, and of course we've done 9, 8, 7, 6, so now we're going to do 5 of the beige. So we're going across and we're going to be doing 5 and 5, 5 and 5. All right. And 1, finding that green loop and going under it. And that's 1. And 2. And 3. And 4. And 5. And on this one, we're not going to completely close it off. We're going to bring that beige yarn down across our work vertically. We're going to give the green a little tug up underneath those beige stitches. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 beige loops to complete that 5th beige stitch. All right. We're going to bring our brown beige color across our work horizontally. And we're going to start the first green stitch. And we're going to go 1, 2, finding that beige one, 3, 4, and 5. We're not going to finish it. We're going to pull that green yarn up away from the work vertically. We're going to take the beige yarn, see how my stitches are sticking through here, give it a slight little pull so that smooths it out. All right, then we're going to yarn over with that beige and we're going to pull it through all 3 of the green. And then I'm just going to secure everything down, bring that green back across the work horizontally, and we're going to do our 5 beige stitches. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, continuing to go up under the beige stitch, the green stitch. So if you don't see it, find your 3, find your green, and there we go. And I believe that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. So we have 1 more to do. And we pull up that loop. We're going to leave those 3 beiges on the hook. Bring your beige down across your work vertically towards you so our yarn doesn't tangle up. Take that green and slightly pull it underneath those beige stitches, and then yarn over and pull it through those last 3 beige stitches to complete that beige stitch. And so we're going to keep going down the row, working 5 green, 5 beige, 5 green, 5 beige, 5 green, 5 beige, and so forth until you get down to the end here with 1 stitch left. And I'll meet you when you get down to that last stitch. All right. Anybody figuring this out yet with this pattern's creating? And let me just show you right here. See how this previous row that we did, see how that color is showing through? But if you look down here, you don't see it. And that's why when we go into our 3 stitches, we're actually going up under that color, because see how it makes it disappear. The only places you're seeing it is the previous row that we haven't done yet. So if you come down here to where we've already done on this row, if you look, you're not seeing it. See how we're right here to do the green, but see how we haven't done this yet, and you can see it, but you don't see it through this. So that's why it's important that you do it. If you don't, it's no big deal. I mean, it's your blanket. So you are your own creator of it, and you do what you like. You might actually like the accent of this running through. You might like that texture that it's creating. So it's up to you what you do, because that is kind of cool. That does give it a cool little texture. So it's your choice. Might be a little late after what we've started, but maybe you weren't doing it the way we were. And even if you have been and now you want to start, I promise you that even starting with it now will still give your blanket a unique look, because I know what it's going to come out as. So play around with it. It is your blanket. You are your own joyful creator. So see what you come up with. All right, I will meet you at the end of the row. All right, so we're at the end of row 55. We've made our last green stitch in this little section. We have the 3 green loops on the hook. So we want to take our green yarn and we want to pull it up vertically away from the project. We want to grab the beige yarn and give it a snug little tug so we make sure that it's nice and secure underneath all these green stitches. And then we are going to yarn over, bring our green yarn all the way to the end here this time. Then take our beige yarn and pull it through those 3 loops of the green stitches to complete this little segment. All right. Then we're going to yarn over, and in this very last stitch, we are going to create a beige half double crochet. But when we pull up our loop and we have 3 loops on the hook, we're then going to take our beige yarn and we're going to pull it down vertically across our work towards us. And then we're going to just pull that green yarn a little bit. You shouldn't have to do it too much since you only really did 1 half double crochet. And then you're going to pick it up, yarn over, and pull it through all 3 of the loops on the hook to complete that beige half double crochet. And this is what you have. Okay. Now using the green yarn, you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to turn our work. All right. You want to make sure your beige yarn is now going across the top of your work horizontally. That chain 2 is going to count as your first half double crochet. And for the first time in this stitch pattern, it is going to be green instead of the beige. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to go right here into the very next stitch. And as always, you want to make sure you go up underneath that beige yarn, and then yarn over, pull up a loop, and complete that half double crochet. So we now have 2 green half double crochets. All right, as you know from the last, and this little piece right here that's kind of sticking out from where we carried the yarn over, don't worry about that. We'll pick it up when we pick up in that stitch the next time. All right, so last time we did 5 greens. So you guessed it, this time we're doing 6 greens. So we've got 1, 2, and this is going to be 3, and 4, and 5, and our last one, trying to make sure I get that beige yarn, is 6. And when we pull that one up, we're going to leave the 3 green loops on the hook. Take your green yarn and pull it up vertically away from the project. Grab the beige yarn, give it a slight little tug, and make sure everything is nice and tugging there. You do want to make sure right here that you're leaving just a little bit of slack so that we can pull this up when we do that stitch, okay, on the next row. And so once you've done that, then yarn over and pull that beige yarn through all 3 of the green loops that are on the hook. And then you want to make sure you bring your green yarn back, running horizontally across your work. And we're going to yarn over, and now last time we did 5 of the beige, so you guessed it, this time we're only going to do 4. Okay, So yarn over, come up under that green yarn and enter into the stitch and pull up a loop, and this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when you pull up your loop, you're going to stop, leaving the 3 beige loops on the hook. Take your beige yarn, cross it over the green so we can keep our yarn untangled, and bring it down across your work vertically towards you. Take the green and just pull it snug up underneath those stitches, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those beige loops on the hook. Tighten everything down. Bring your beige yarn across your work horizontally. And I'm going to work this with you one more set. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go into this next stitch, and we're going to create 1, 2, going up under that brown, unless you're not doing that, as we discussed before, 3, 4, because maybe you want that design in it, 5, and 6. And this time you're going to leave the 3 green loops on the hook. Take your green yarn, pull it upwards vertically away from the project. Take the beige, pull it a little snug up underneath those green stitches. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 of the green loops. Secure everything down. Bring that green yarn back across your work horizontally. Yarn over, and we're going to create our 4 stitches. I want to make sure I go up under that green for this pattern for me. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And when we get this one and pull up our loop, we're going to leave all 3 of those beige loops on the hook. All right, we're going to take our beige yarn and we're going to pull it down vertically towards us across the project. Grab the green, pull it a little snug, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops of the beige. And that completes that little segment. So you're going to keep repeating this pattern. So you're going to do 6 green, 4 beige, 6 green, 4 beige, all the way down. And then when you get down to the end, I will meet up with you to finish off. All right, so we have just finished our last green half double crochet. We have 3 green loops on the hook. So we're going to take our green yarn and we're going to pull it upright vertically away from the project. We're going to take the beige yarn, give it a snug little tug to pull all that yarn nice and secure and tight and snug underneath those green stitches. Then we're going to pick it up and yarn over through all 3 green loops on the hook, and that is going to complete that last green stitch. Now we're going to pull our green yarn horizontally across that last stitch so we can work over it. we're going to yarn over, and we're going to come right here into the very last stitch and create a beige half double crochet. We're going to stop with the 3 loops on the hook, and we are going to cross over the green yarn and pull our beige yarn down vertically across our work, and then we're going to give that green yarn just a snug pull for that 1 stitch that we just did. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 beige loops, and that is going to create that last beige stitch for us. We're then going to take the green yarn and we're going to we're going to chain 2. All right. And then we're going to turn our work. And we're going to get ready to begin row 37. And that chain 2 is going to count as our first half double crochet, just like it has been. But this time the row is going to start with a green half double crochet, just like we did with the very last row. We're now going to take our beige yarn and we're going to cross it over and lay it horizontally across our work so we can work over it. We're going to yarn over and we're going to come right here into that very next stitch. Now remember, this one is already accounted for, and as we know, following our pattern, we just completed 6 green half double crochets across. So of course with this one we'll be creating 7. So again, we're going to yarn over and we're going to come right here into this next one, and again you want to make sure that you are going, underneath the beige yarn there, unless you are creating that little line pattern, unless you've chosen to do that. All right, so let's do 7 green half double crochets. The chain 2 counted as our first one, so there's 2. And remember, we'll catch this on the next row, so you might want to just leave it a little bit slack a little bit so you'll be able to pick it up. Okay, and let's go do 3 and 4, and I'm going a little bit faster because we should be getting used to this by now. 5 and 6 and 7, and of course on this one we're going to leave the 3 green loops on the hook. We're going to take our green yarn and pull it upright vertically away from the project. We're then going to grab the beige and give it a slight snug and pull all that a little bit snug under the green stitches. Once you've done that, again you want to take that little piece and pull it back just a little bit with a little bit of slack in it so that we'll be able to pick it up when we come through on the next row and create that stitch in that top corner there. Then take the beige, yarn over, and pull through. All right, bring the green yarn back down horizontally just like we have been. And of course last time we did 4 beige half double crochets, so this time we're going to do 3. So obviously on the green we're counting up 1, and on the beige we're counting down 1. So here we go with 3 and 1, and I want that to be just a little bit tighter for me. I'm going to redo that real quick. So 1 and 2 and 3, and of course we're going to leave the 3 loops on the hook, we're going to yarn over the green yarn, and we're going to pull that beige yarn down across the project vertically. We're going to take the green yarn and give it a snug little pull, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those beige loops. Then take your beige yarn, lay it horizontally across your work, and again, this time we're going to make 7 green half double crochets, and we're going to go right into this first one. And that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6 and 7. And we're going to leave those 3 green loops on the hook. Take our green yarn and pull it up right vertically away from the project. Take the beige yarn and pull it through under those green stitches. Then take it and yarn over. Take the green yarn, lay it horizontally across the work, and we're going to do our 3 beige stitches, half double crochet. So that's 1, and this is 2 and 3. And of course we're going to leave those 3 beige loops on the hook, and we're going to take that beige yarn, we're going to cross it over the green yarn, bring it down vertically on the work towards us, grab the green yarn, pull it a little snug, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And that completes our 3 beige stitches. So now we're going to keep going all the way down this row, doing 7 greens, 3 beiges, all the way till the end. When you get to the end, you are going to end at the end with a green stitch. And at this point, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I'm getting this right, because we're going to, on this one here, it's going to edge off. So the pattern is going to become the side. So it won't be a complete, and as you can probably start to figure out, these are triangles. So this triangle is going to just kind of edge off. So when you come through and you're doing your stitches, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you'll actually only end up with 6 green on this particular one. Okay? And that's just because we have 158 stitches to our blanket, and to have really done the triangles properly, to be fully expanded all the way to the end, we really would have needed 160 stitches. So we're just kind of making do. But as you can see, we've got reverse triangles that are going on, if you've not figured that out yet. All right, so continue going all the way down row 57, and I will meet up with you at the end, and we'll continue working and beginning row 58 together. Hey guys, I am back. We have just finished the last 3 beige stitches for row 57. I have a green loop on my hook where I pulled it through those last 3 stitches of that last beige half double crochet, And I just wanted to tell you that as you go to work the rest of the green stitches across, normally we would bring our beige down in front here to do that, and then we would pull it across horizontally to work over. But since we are just doing green stitches here and green stitches back, we can actually leave that strip going down vertically across the work because we don't really need to carry it. So I wanted to come back and save you from having to do that. So with that being said, we just go in here and work our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1/2 double crochets in green to finish off that row. All right, and so you remember again, even though we were doing 7 green all the way across here, when it comes to the end, we're going to stop on the 6th one here because of the amount of stitches that we have across our whole blanket, which is 158. Okay, if we had been doing this pattern to create a blanket with, you would have done it with a multiple of 10 plus 3 to create a whole blanket using this stitch pattern. But since we're incorporating it into our 158 count, and we don't have the 160 to actually fully complete the rest of that triangle, then we're just going to stop at the 6. And then we're going to chain 2 and turn our work to begin row 58. So go ahead and turn your blanket over. And again, just so we're on the same page, we now have the wrong side or the back side of our blanket facing us, because all of our even rows are the back side, wrong side, and all of our odd rows are the right side or the front side, however you like to use the terminology. All right, so let's make sure we've got all of our yarn in the right position. So that it doesn't get tangled up. And if you'll remember, we've got it a couple stitches in on the other side for the beige because we left it off right here. So now, to begin row 58, that first one again counts as our 1/2 double crochet. So we're going to go into the very next one. Sorry. And that's going to be 2. And again, we're going to have only 6 of these across. So that's 2. And we're not having to pick up any beige stitches because we did not carry that over. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, we were going under, all 3 of those strands. On this sixth one, we leave the 3 loops on the hook, and we're going to take that yarn upright vertically away from the work, and then we're going to come and we're going to pick up our beige where we left it off, and we're just going to yarn over and pull it through those 3 green loops, and then we're going to take our green yarn and pull it horizontally across the work to work over. So the last time we were on the beige, we did 3 across. So as you know, we're only going to do 2 across. So 1 and 2. And again, we're not going to complete it, so we're going to take our beige yarn and pull it across the green and vertically down our work towards us. Going to pull that green so the stitches under the beige are snug, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that completes our 2 beige. We're then going to take the beige and run it horizontally across our work so we can work over it. And this time, last time we did 7. So starting with this one, we're going to do 8 in the green stitch. So here we go. 1, trying to get up under that beige. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6 and 7 and 8. And of course, we're not going to complete it. We're going to leave those 3 green loops on the hook. We're going to take that beige yarn and pull it nice and secure. The green yarn will go up vertically away from the work. We're going to take that beige, yarn over and pull through those 3 green stitches. And then we're going to take that green yarn and pull it back horizontally. And now we're going to do our 2 beige stitches. And so we're going to do 1 and 2. And of course, we're not going to finish that off. And we're going to take that beige yarn and pull it down across the work vertically towards us. Take the green, secure those stitches under the beige stitches, yarn over and pull through all 3 of the beige stitches, and that completes those stitches in the beige. So now we're going to start with our green again, and of course we're going to have 8 green, 2 beige, 8 green, 2 beige, and go all the way down row 58. And then when we get down to our very last triangle here, we'll end up in this top of this beige stitch right here. We'll create our first green. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that 7 is going to finish off the row. Now I know we're doing 8 here, but again, because we're working with the stitches that we have already on our Longmire blanket, then we're just going to let that end triangle, just like on the other side, just kind of edge off. Okay? And then I'll meet up with you at the end of row 58, and we'll work the last row together. of this stitch pattern, which will be row 59. So we have made it to the end of row 58. We have our beige yarn stopped at the very last beige stitch, and it is going vertically down across the work towards us. So we are going to pick up where we left off with this last green stitch, and we're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn our work. This is the last row for this triangular pattern stitch. So again, so we're on the same page for this row. You'll have your front side, right side facing. As we start this row, we have our chain 2, and as it has in the past, that will count as our first half double crochet. So we're going to skip that one because we've already got it worked, and we're going to go into the next one, and that makes 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. When you pull that loop up, we're going to stop and put it down. Now, the last row we did 8 green and 2 beige. So this row, technically we're doing 9 green and 1 beige. But remember our triangle on the end here, we're having to kind of edge it off because of the count of stitches that we have for our Longmire blanket. So this particular triangle is only going to have 7 green. So we're going to take our green and we're going to pull it upward vertically away from the project. And then we're going to slightly pull that beige from the back side here where we left it, yarn over, and pull through all 3 of those green loops. Secure everything down. Bring that green yarn horizontally across the work. And then we are going to go right into this first beige stitch from the previous row, and we're going to pull up a loop. And when we do that, we're actually going to stop. We're going to give that green yarn a little bit of a tug. We're going to take that beige yarn and pull it down towards us vertically. And then we're going to take that green and go ahead and pull it through those 3 loops to create that 1 beige half double crochet, which will then end up creating the peak of that triangle. Okay? So now we're going to make sure that the beige yarn is horizontally across the top of our work so we can work over it. And we're going to pick up the green yarn and yarn over. And now we're going to make 9 green stitches, half double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 'Does not want to go in. There we go. 6 and 7, 8 and 9. Trying to get it under that beige loop there. There we go. And when we pull that loop up, we're going to leave those 3 greens on the hook. We're going to take the green yarn and pull it upward vertically away from us. We're then going to take the beige yarn and pull it a little snug under those green stitches. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those green loops to end the last half double crochet for that green triangle. And after we have done that, we're then going to yarn over and we're going to just do a beige stitch right into this very first one. And when we pull that loop up, we're going to stop. We're going to take our beige yarn and pull it down vertically across our work towards us. And we're going to grab that green yarn and just give it a slight tug. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those beige loops. That finishes off that last beige stitch for this particular triangle. And then we're going to keep going across, working 9 greens, 1 beige, 9 greens, 1 beige, all the way across row 59. When we get to the end here, we have this triangle here, and again, just like on the other one, it's kind of edging off because of our Longmire stitch count for our blanket. So when we get to this last beige one and we've worked our 9 green, we're going to work a beige into this first stitch like we have been at the beginning of this row, and then we're going to transfer over to the green, and we'll actually end with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 green. And that will complete our row 59. And then we are going to add 2 more rows to just kind of finish off this pattern strip. You know, we have like a base here, and we have our triangular pattern. And then we're going to give it another little kind of edging. And then we'll be done for today. So go ahead and finish this row, and I will meet up with you at the end of row 59. So here we are at the end of row 59. We can go ahead and fasten off our yarn. I'm starting with the green because that is what is at the actual end of the row here. I'm gonna then grab my beige, and I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a tail. With the beige one here, I am going to sorry, that was a little bit loud. With the beige one, I'm going to go ahead and weave that in, just simply because when I start with the next color, I only want to have 1 color to carry across. So go ahead and take a minute and weave that in, and then I will meet back up with you. So here we are, just taking a look at this section of our Longmire blanket. Those triangles just came out really, really well. I know that this was not so much as a difficult section of the blanket as much as it was time consuming. So I do know that it took a good bit of time to create these triangles going upside down from one another and alternating, but it definitely gives a lot more depth even to this blanket, and I just continue to love how this is turning out. I hope that you did not get frustrated with this section. Again, that's why so much time was taking into the demonstration. This is probably the longest video we've had on completing a section of the Longmire blanket. But again, I wanted you to be successful and be able to add this kind of depth, because with it being a Native American blanket, you can either look at it as looking like mountains or looking like teepees. So it is all up to you. To me, it kind of resembles both, with the color pattern that the dice chose for me, having these beige triangles going this way and having these minty green ones coming this way. It literally could look like mountains with a skyline, or it could look like teepees with a skyline. So let your own imagination create your Longmire blanket. After all, it is your joyful creation. So this is the last part, and you'll understand why I want to add a specific type of border to finish off this section, rather than leaving it for next week. And it's because when we go back across, we'll have to complete that wide half double crochet like we did with the triangles in order to pick up those colorful strands that we're running through. And again, I'll show you that a little bit more, but first let's go ahead and grab the dice, and we're going to roll for our last color. These two rows will be made with the same color, so whatever the dice say, that's what we'll go with. So if you're ready, here we go. And the color that we're choosing is number 3. So let's grab our card and see what our number 3 color is. And on my chart, it is going to be the cherry red. So let me grab that cherry red, and we'll get it fastened on. And then I will meet back up with you to start rows 60 and 61. All right, so we've got our new color, our red, added on, and we are going to chain 2. So 1, 2, and we're going to turn our work. And again, so we're on the same page as we get ready to start row 60. That means that since it is a even row, we will have the back side, or what is called the wrong side of our blanket, facing us as we work on our stitches. And just as I have in the previous rows, we will pull these tails around and work them in as we go. This chain 2, as it has previously, is going to count as the first stitch in this row. And I'm going to pull this up here and around so I can work them in, and they're nice. They'll be nice and secured. So this is what I was referring to, which actually we won't see it until we start getting along the row. So let's go ahead. We've got our first half double crochet. We're going to come right in just as we were with all of these other rows. Instead of going in between the stitch, between the V and that bottom one, we're going to come underneath all 3 just for this row. So we're going to work that half double crochet. And we're going to work half double crochets all the way down row 60. But as we get out of this green where we did not carry the beige at the end, we can just go through and make those half double crochets, securing in our ends. And again, as always, when you've worked in enough of your ends that you feel like they're secure, you can always go ahead and clip them off. So now we're coming back into this green again. And you want to make sure when you go and do that wide half double crochet that you are picking up the strip that's running through there so that that is not showing. And so I'm going to do that maybe about 2 of the half double crochets down, and then I will go ahead and trim off my ends because they will have been worked in and secured enough. So let's just do one more, making sure I grab that beige yarn there. Again, if you chose not to pick up that color yarn like that, then you don't have to worry about that. And if that's the case, it is entirely up to you if you even want to do the wide half double crochet. If you chose not to pick up those color strands and you just let them continue to run through your triangles and create that extra depth and pattern, then you can just actually do your half double crochets like you normally would, going up under the V and in between that third bottom strand. So that's up to you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and trim off this excess tail here. We do not need any more of that. And then I'm just going to continue going all the way down this row for this tutorial, doing the wide half double crochet and picking up those color strands that appear from the previous row. Again, when you get down to the end of row 60, you're going to have 158 half double crochets. So go ahead and work this row, and then I will meet you at the very end, and we will move on to row 61, which will be our last row for today. And I'll tell you how we're going to end with that final row so that we are set up and ready for next week. And what a nice contrast that is giving there. I love it. Almost looks like a little bit of a landscape. Even though this is navy blue, it kind of looks like ground and teepees in the skyline, and just like an Indian summer skyline, it would have red in it. So again, this is your own joyful creation, so you create your imaginative story in your Native American blanket, your Longmire blanket, and I will meet you at the end of row 60. So here we are at the end of row 60, and we're going to do one final row to finish this off. And so we're going to chain one and turn our work. Sorry, that was the dice. They thought we were doing one more color. And all we're going to do on this row in the same color is single crochet. So we've chained one, we're going to go right into that same stitch as the chain one, and we're just going to work single crochets all the way down this row as we normally would, up under just, let me yarn over, under the 2 V's. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, see how the tops of our stitches create that V, those 2 strands. We're just as normal as we normally would, just going up under those 2 strands. I keep trying to do a yarn over because we've been doing half double crochets, and we're just going to do a single crochet all the way across row 61. Again, the front side of your work, the right side should be facing you as we're making these stitches. And when we finish row 61, we will have 158 single crochets, and we are going to go ahead and fasten off, and that will finish today. But I will come back and we'll take a look at the blanket after row 61 is completed. So keep working those single crochets across, and I will meet back up with you. I know that this half double crochet and single crochet rows are probably kind of a little bit of a relief after that long stretch of making the triangles, but how cool those triangles look. I had never actually made the triangles like that before, so it was a new stitch for me as well. And so I was excited to give it a try. It was long. It did take quite a while to do, but hopefully you didn't find it too daunting and was excited to try something new like I was. All right, so I will meet up with you at the end of row 61. Wow, that is so cool. So we are at the end of row 61. And this is how that red strip turned out at the top here. And I went ahead and fastened off. So I'm ready for next week. And just, I mean, take a look at this. This is gorgeous. Again, I know that it took a long time for us to complete this little section, but how cool that looks, how that just adds to this entire blanket so far. I am absolutely, my little dragonfly doesn't want to stay turned over. There we go. Not that that mattered, but I am just loving this so much. It is coming out way better than I ever imagined. And I am very, very pleased with this. I hope that you are enjoying this and that you like it too. And again, I hope this part was not too daunting. Again, it was my first time creating this triangular pattern, and I absolutely loved it. Yes, it is time consuming. So I promise you that the stitches for next week will be something very simple, just in case this little section gets you behind a little bit, that you'll have time to catch up and not be behind. So, all right, well, this completes part 9 of the Longmire Blanket. My name is Cynthia with Cynthia's Joyful Creations, and you have a amazing day, a great week, and I will see you next week. Be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, make your own joyful creations, and I'll see you on the next Funday Monday episode.